Hi everyone. Thanks for being here and joining us. So we can't see you, but we definitely we can feel your presence, and we're so glad you're here. This is the Apra Amcos 101 session. Firstly, I just want to acknowledge that I'm on Wurundjeri Woiwurrung country, and I'd like to pay my respects to elders past and present, and I'd like to extend that respect to owners of country from where you are, and to all First Nations people joining us this evening. I also want to acknowledge and respect that song, knowledge, story, language, and care for country has been shared on these lands for thousands of years. Always was, always will be. My name is Al, and I am a new member of the Education and Outreach team at Apra Amcos. I am a songwriter, and I've worked in different parts of the music industry, including artist management, community radio, and events. And I'm really excited to have joined the team here at Apra. Joining me on this call are my incredible colleagues from the Education and Outreach team, Caroline and Nikki, and they're both quite literally, in my view, encyclopedias of information regarding Apra Amcos, as well as being absolute legends. So I'm really glad that you're both here. So what are we going to cover in this session? Quite a bit. We'll be going through some really important information about what Apra Amcos is, what we do, what is copyright, what does it mean for you to be a member, and some essential information that you'll need to get the most out of your membership, to get those royalties. You know, how do you put through a performance report, and how do you register your songs? Those sorts of things. Now, you might be joining us as you might have been a member for a while and you haven't been told this information before. You might be a new member, but there is a lot that we'll cover throughout this presentation, and you'll probably have questions, and questions are awesome. We don't have a chat facility in this session, but you will see on the bottom of your Zoom screen that there's a Q&A tab. And so you might want to make a note of your questions just in case we cover it throughout the session, or you can pop it in the Q&A tab and Caroline or I will answer it directly, or we might flag it and we might answer it at the end of the session when we have a little Q&A at the end. So I'm going to hand over to Nikki now and we'll jump into it.
Thank you so much, Al. I will try to be a little more entertaining than the usual good old Encyclopedia Britannica, and possibly some people on this call like, what are you talking about? So I'll move right along and pretend I didn't say that. Thank you again for being here with us this evening. Let's get going on all the things that are Apra Amcos and what it's all about and why we're here. So Apra and Amcos, what have you joined? What is this organisation that you're now a part of? Well, we are actually two separate organisations that partnered up. So Apra and Amcos partnered Apra Amcos. And we exist to help songwriters manage their copyright. We're created by songwriters. We are run by songwriters and composers, and we are here to support you as music creators. So to start with, APRA, the Australasian Performing Right Association. So right there in the name, you can see that we are the organisation that helps you look after your performing rights. And I'm going to go into exactly what those areas of copyright are a little bit further in the presentation. And then, of course, alongside that, AMCOS, the Australasian Mechanical Copyright Owners Society. And again, it's there in their name. AMCOS helps you to manage your mechanical copyright in your words and your music. So we partnered up in the late 90s, and together we're what is known as a rights management organisation, an RMO. Going to be some acronyms coming your way this evening, APRA and AMCOS, and now RMO. And we're basically a go-between. We're a link between music creators, songwriters, composers, and music users. So I guess to put it succinctly, When you're a music creator, you're writing and composing lyrics and melodies, you own the copyright in all of the music that you create. And that means that your permission is required when your music is used in certain ways. So a music user could be any kind of business, person, company, or something that wants to make music available to the public. So we could be talking about a restaurant with music on, a hairdresser, a gym that has music in their fitness classes. We could be talking about obvious examples like radio stations, pubs and live music venues, nightclubs. We could be talking about Spotify, YouTube, television channels, radio stations, Netflix, literally any type of business or organization putting music out into the public realm. That's a music user. And as I was saying, to do this, to use music in the way they do, they have to have permission from the copyright owner. Now, that's where we come in, because I like to think of an example here, and I like to use Spotify as my example. You've probably heard that statistic that there are about 60,000 songs a day that get uploaded onto Spotify. And that means Spotify needs permission from the songwriters of all 60,000 songs. And generally speaking, there's often more than one songwriter per song. So we're talking about, on a daily basis, Spotify having to contact over 60,000 people just to get the green light to put the song on their platform. And that's a lot of admin. That's pretty much unmanageable, and it would prevent Spotify from actually running the platform that we all love to use. So this is where Apra and Amcos come in. We make the whole thing easier. When you joined Apra and Amcos, you actually assigned or transferred just some of your copyright to us, which means we can give permission on your behalf. So when Spotify wants to make music available, they can get a license from us. The license that we give is the permission on your behalf. So we can say, yes, Spotify, you can make our members' music available on your platform. Now, in exchange for that, we charge a license fee. So we collect money from Spotify, and that money that we collect is what we pay back to you as your royalties. So you get royalties in exchange for giving permission for your music to be used. Now, we do this globally because there are other organizations exactly like Apra and Amcos that exist all around the world. So if your music gets played in the USA, South Korea, Japan, Spain, Germany, wherever it might be, we work with our affiliate organization for that territory. And they're going to do all the licensing, all the collecting of the license fees, and then they pass back any royalties due to our members to us, and we pay you as our member. So your membership with Apra Amcos applies worldwide, and we can collect royalties from all around the world for you. And that's going to be a lot easier than you trying to monitor and license your music use globally. Now, I've mentioned copyright, and I've referred to the fact that you've assigned some rights to us. You're a copyright owner. But a really important point to make here is that Apra and Amcos, we don't give copyright protection. I'd say the number one misunderstanding about why people join our organization is they think that they're joining to get protection. But actually, the copyright law of Australia and New Zealand states that your copyright protection is free and automatic. Copyright protection starts to take effect as soon as you are recording your music in some material form. So that could be you're writing down your lyrics, you're writing down chord charts, maybe you're making recordings on a laptop or even something that you're recording into your phone. Basically, any way that your music exists so that it's more than just an idea in your head, it's tangible, people can hear it, you can hear it. That's where the copyright protection begins. And if you ever had to defend that you were the original creator of something, it's all of your rough drafts and all of your demo versions, your early runs of lyrics and things. That's what you would be taking to demonstrate that you had written something before anybody else could have heard it. So Apra Amcos doesn't give copyright protection. Our function is to make sure that when your copyright music is performed, you're receiving the royalties that you're entitled to. Now, it's really important to understand a bit about copyright, how it works and how it applies. So one thing to know is that the copyright in anything you compose lasts here in Australia for the life of the composer and another 70 years, or in New Zealand, life of the composer and another 50 years. So for this entire duration of copyright, your Apra Amcos membership basically remains in place, and we will continue collecting royalties. Even after you're gone, we'll pay those to whoever you nominate as your beneficiaries. And we still do this for some of, the biggest writers who sadly are no longer with us, people like Michael Hutchence and Gurumul. We're still collecting their royalties and passing those along to their families. Now, if you ever need more information about copyright specifically, how it works, what you can and can't do with music, we've got the websites there for the copyright councils of both Australia and New Zealand. We can also pop those in the chat later on. We can give those to you. So check them out for any questions that you might have. Now, I promised you right at the beginning of tonight's talk that I would talk about specifically what areas of copyright that APRA and AMCOS help you to manage, and this is it. So APRA looks after 3 areas of copyright. The first one is the right of public performance, and that is anytime your music gets played in a public space. So it could be things like background music in retail shops and again, restaurants and cafes. It could be you yourself performing your own music live, or someone else performing your music live. This is a public performance, and it would likely make you eligible for APRA royalties. The second area of copyright that APRA looks after is the broadcast right, and that is exactly what it sounds like. So broadcasts on radio, broadcasts on television, APRA royalties can be due to you for that kind of use. Then the third area that we look after is under the communication copyright, and it's a transmission via wires. So we're talking about things like music on hold on a phone line, or of course, the internet streaming is another way that if your music is used in that specific way, you could get some APRA royalties for that. Then we come to AMCOS, and they just look after the mechanical or the reproduction copyright. So that's the right that comes into effect anytime there are copies of your words and music being made. So a more obvious example is if a record label was to press up vinyl of one of your compositions, that would be a copy being made. Or if a publisher printed sheet music, that's a copy being made. But of course, you've got digital copies. Apple Music, you can download somebody's song. That is a copy, and that would entitle them to a mechanical royalty. All right. So that's what APRA and AMCOS are collecting and paying for you as members, or to you as members. Now, you've probably picked up on the fact that as I've been talking, I very specifically keep referring to songwriters, composers, and that is very much intentional. It is because APRA and AMCOS only look after copyright that exists in the actual words and music, the composition. There is separate copyright that applies to a sound recording of a song, and that's administered by different organisations. So here in Australia, the PPCA can pay royalties for a public performance of a sound recording. In New Zealand, it's Recorded Music NZ. And then separately to that, you might have your music available online. Maybe you've gone through a distributor like DistroKid, GyroStream, TuneCore, or Ditto. And if you're receiving money through your distributor, that's for the mechanical copyright in your sound recordings. So to make this as clear as I possibly can, let's think about Al, who you saw at the beginning, and myself. So maybe I've written a new song and I really like it. I think it's got top 40 written all over it, but maybe I'm a bit of an electronica girl, and this song is probably a bit soft ballad, maybe folk style, which I know is really something that Al likes to release. That's more her thing. So instead of releasing it myself, even though I've written it, I let Al take this one. So I give the words and the music to her. She makes a recording on her own equipment, maybe in a home studio. That way, whenever the recorded version of the song is maybe streamed or performed some way in a nightclub, maybe, or played on radio, you're looking at a case where I would be paid as the songwriter, but Al would be paid as the owner of the sound recording. So we're paid separately. Now, if Al was to perform that song in a live setting, because she only owns the recording, Al wouldn't receive any royalties from that. I'm the songwriter, and I would still get my APRA payments as the songwriter for that. I hope that's made it a little bit clearer. Righto, what is next on tonight's agenda? Well, we're going to come back to what Apra and Amcos look after for you. So the first area that we're going to delve into is live music performance, because this is the #1 way that most Apra members make their money. It's because live performance royalties are very easy to claim and they pay pretty well. So whenever you perform your own original music live, you're entitled to get royalties for it. And now that you're a member, you will have access to our writer portal online and, of course, our app, the Apra Amcos for Music Creators app. So you're just going to log into your writer portal or the app, and you're going to log a performance report. All we need is the date, the venue that you played at, you can add your performer name, and then your set list. And we've made it even easier so that if you play the same set list quite frequently, you can pre-save it. So you're just literally adding pre-saved set lists. You can even modify those set lists. You can delete a song that you didn't play that night. You can add a song that you played as a bonus track. And then when you submit that to us, it takes us about 6 months to process them. But then the rate per song is about $3. So if you start to think about the number of original works that you're playing each gig and the number of gigs that you might be doing in a week or a month or a quarter, that's where this really starts to add up. We have members that go out on tour and log all of their live performance reports and make thousands, tens of thousands of dollars purely from collecting these royalties. Now, it's good to know that this is your copyright royalties we're talking about. So it is separate from a performance fee. When you go to a venue and you play live, you get paid by the venue to put on a show because you have brought people into their venue and you're entertaining them. That is separate from the copyright that exists in the words and music that you're performing. Now, of course, if you play any covers, you should add those to your set list as well, and we will pay the songwriters of the covers because that's essentially how you're getting their permission to have done their song. Even better news, we let you claim live performance royalties retrospectively. So even if you're a brand new member, like you just joined last week, you can still backdate your performances for 12 months before you joined. So if you've already been playing live, we're still going to let you claim the last 12 months. The maximum you can backdate performances is 3 years, provided you've been a member that whole time. So if there's anyone on the call that's been a member for many years and just maybe accidentally forgot to log performance reports, you still can claim the last 3 years of performances. The other type of kind of live performance that we allow you to claim a royalty for is live streamed performances. So this came about during COVID when, of course, you couldn't go and play in an actual venue, and loads of our members just took to performing live online. So this license has been kept in place. And if you're going live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, you can still claim royalties for that. You would lodge it exactly the same way as a regular performance report. We just need the platform that you stream on and the date and then your set list. Now, the rate of pay for this is a little bit less. It's probably more like $1.50 or $1.80 per song, but I'm assuming you didn't have to leave the house or lug any gear or spend any money on petrol and things. So I think you'll find it balances out. Now, there's a couple of things here you might already be thinking. First of all, if you play in a live venue and you live stream it, I'm sorry, you cannot claim both. So you would just go with the regular live performance report because that one is more valuable. Secondly, there is a cap. There's a maximum amount of songs that you can claim through live streaming. So yes, you can sit at home and stream every single night and perform your works, but we do put a cap on this of 150 songs each quarter. So that's the maximum you can claim. These can still be backdated. The same backdating periods of 12 months to up to 3 years apply. Now that leads quite nicely into streaming services, just regular streaming. So you've uploaded your music and you've got it online for people to listen to and enjoy. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know in that royalties from streaming are very different to $3 per song. They are a lot less than that. And that is simply due to the volume of music that gets streamed. In one quarter, we can get, just from YouTube alone, over 320,000 songs being streamed. It's just insane, the amount of tracks that are being listened to. So you do end up with a lower per stream rate, obviously. But the good news is, if your music is online, chances are we're going to know about it. The key to ensuring that we know about it is to release your music through a digital aggregator or a digital distributor. So that's one of those companies I mentioned, like CD Baby, DistroKid, etc. And this is because only by going through an online distributor or a record label, if you're lucky enough to work with one, only that way will your music be tagged with metadata. And that's what you need for all of the platforms like YouTube, like Amazon, like Spotify, to identify this is copyright music and report it to Apra Amcos. We rely on them to do the matching and the identifying and the reporting. So it's not us out there trying to match things. We need each of the online platforms to do that work for us. And to guarantee they recognize your song, going through a label or a distributor is the way. So that's kind of key number one. Now, when it comes to the different reporting that we get, YouTube send us 2 different types of reports. So anything that's a music video, whether that's with an actual moving video or just those still art videos, that gets reported to us. Then they also report the top 1,000 viewed general entertainment videos that have music in them. So things like funny fails, cute cat videos, makeup tutorials, things like that. Your song was used and it was in the top 1,000 streamed, that gets reported to. Facebook and Instagram, fairly similar. They're going to report to us any videos that are created in-app where music has been added to the video. So you upload your footage and then you're in the Facebook app and you add, or Instagram app, and you add from their audio library. Beautiful. That gets reported. They also report anything that gets shared. So you've created the video and it starts going viral, and then all of those people who like your video and share it themselves, that gets reported too. As long as it's in their audio library, because of the metadata, it will get reported to us. Now, with all of these I've mentioned so far, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Apple, Amazon, they are going to report to us the number of streams or the number of views, which is what you'd probably expect. So if you have your music in one YouTube video and it gets watched 10,000 times, beautiful. The number that we receive is 10,000. The one that's a little bit different here is TikTok. TikTok's model works differently, and so they report to us differently. They only report the number of individual videos that music gets added to in their app. So if your music is only in one TikTok video, it doesn't matter how many people watch it, that will still be reported to us as one. So on TikTok, you really do want that scenario where everybody recognizes your sound and creates their own video, adds your sound or your song in this case. And then the more videos that you get with your song added to them, that's how you get the count up on TikTok. Now, while we're talking about online, terms and conditions, yay, the fun part. I know everyone's excited now. Well, look, I could be joking about that, but terms and conditions are in fact really important. I probably signed up for 2 things already today that I didn't properly read the terms and conditions for. Don't be like me. When it comes to your music, please understand what can actually be done with your songs. We took these terms from a website that was legit, still is legit, but has changed their terms. However, when you signed up to this particular website, you were agreeing that not only could your music be streamed completely royalty free, but that other people who liked your song and heard it on this website could then go ahead and use it and copy it and listen to it offline. They could also publicly perform it and adapt it and make their own derivative versions. It was all there in the terms. You had given permission for that to happen. So if you were okay with that because you'd read the terms and you understood, then no problems. But if you were unaware and all of a sudden your song starts popping up on all these other platforms, that can be a really alarming situation. If you ever need advice when it comes to any kind of legal scenario, something you don't understand, maybe a contract or terms and conditions, then you can get legal advice from 2 amazing resources purely for creative artists. Here in Australia, it's the Arts Law Centre and it is the NZ Music Commission in New Zealand. Their free phone line for New Zealand is there. For some reason, we haven't put the free phone line for Arts Law, but they have one as well. You can reach out to get free advice or even very low cost advice. And that's across all kinds of things. That's across contracts, that's across if you're worried about infringement, all of that sort of thing. Now, just a quick word while we're talking about what people can and can't do. What about cover songs? What about if you want to do something with someone else's music? Well, the answer is it's actually quite simple. So if you have a recording of somebody else's track, you've made a cover song, you've recorded it, and you want to release it to the world. There are just a couple of things to know depending on how you're releasing. So if you're going to make physical copies which have a cover version on them, so maybe you're going to print up some vinyl, put your new original track on side A and complement it with a cover version on side B, you can do that. You just need to get a license to cover the mechanical royalties. Remember, copies being made, and you get that license from us, from Amcos. So you jump onto our website, look for the audio manufacturer license. And again, we can put a link to that in the chat. Go to the license. It's even got a little table there to help you work out what you would be paying before you've submitted anything. The fee is based on the number of copies that you're going to be making. So if you are, only making one cover song into 200 CDs, it's going to be less than if you're making 6 cover songs on EPs with vinyl and CDs and all of that sort of stuff. Once you've paid your license fee, that's all you need to worry about. From that point on, when you're selling your vinyl at the merch desk, anything you make is yours to keep. So you've done, the copyright part is taken care of. Now, if you're releasing your cover version digitally, so just online, and you're going to limit your release to Australasia, then the good news is that each of the digital service providers, like Apple Music, like Spotify, they've already taken out the required mechanical license for you. So in our own territory, you can go ahead and upload your cover. If you're going to go internationally with your release, though, your cover song, you may need some additional licenses for other territories. And that's another reason why going with a record label or, again, a digital distributor is really important, because they'll help you to get that license. Usually you upload the song, it will ask you, is this a cover song? You tick yes, and it will take you straight through to what you would need to know license-wise. Now, I'm going to just quickly sum up how we pay the money, because we've gone through a bit of this. I've talked about licensing. So we do license all types of music users, and we do that both as Apra Amcos and also as a division called One Music. So One Music Australia, One Music New Zealand. Why do we have a different division? Well, because Apra Amcos has actually partnered up with the PPCA. And if you remember right back to the beginning, PPCA are the ones that look after public performance of a sound recording. Now, the idea here is that if you are a business owner, this makes things simple for you. So just like Apra and Amcos coming together made it easy for you as a songwriter, you have one membership and one account with us, One Music makes it simple for a business owner. It means they get permission to use both the composition and the sound recording in their business. If you are a songwriter and you never open a business and you never put on any kind of music, then please just let this drift away. Let us take care of the licensing for you. Just know One Music and Apra Amcos are looking after it. So we license the businesses and then we get the data. Now, I've already talked about all the streaming platforms that report to us, but we also get data from radio stations, from television stations, from background music suppliers. We get data from you, our members, when you report your live performances. So this is how we know what music is being performed around the country in all different ways, and obviously in New Zealand as well. Next up, we can match that data to the work registrations that we have on file. So as a member, you're going to tell us what songs you've written, what music you've composed. We call that a work registration. And because we have those international agreements, we have access not only to our own database of registrations, but an international database. So we can match what's been performed to the correct songwriters. Once we know how much we've collected in license fees and who needs to be paid, then we can just calculate how much everybody's going to be getting. And the last step is we distribute that money, get it out the door into your bank accounts. So for a domestic distribution, anything we've collected in our own territory, we pay that every 3 months. We pay it quarterly. And then in between, we have other monthly payments for anything that we've received from our affiliates overseas. And these are the kind of sums that we're talking about. So these are our figures for the 2023-24 financial year. The new ones will be out very, very soon. But essentially, as a group, Apra Amcos made $740 million. And then we took some of that to run the business, because occasionally I get to this point and I have forgotten to mention, wait a second, how do you do what we do? This is how. So 14.3% was taken to not just pay staff wages. Sorry. I wish that was the case. It's not the case. We actually use that money for everything that we do. So of course, yes, we pay our staff, but we also give a lot of this back to writers. We give out grants. So in this financial year, we gave out $180,000 in $10,000 professional development awards that went to 15 Australian songwriters, 3 New Zealand songwriters. We have Screen Music Awards. We have Art Music Awards. That's more grants that are given out. We have a mentorship, 23% mentorship program. We have our Song Hubs songwriting camps. Those are 3-day camps that are held both here and internationally that you can apply to be a part of. Those are fully paid for. All of this coming out of our 14.3%. And all of our events that we run, our in-person events that you can come along to, meet industry representatives, network with other songwriters, all taken care of. And that still left us with $634 million that went back to songwriters. So that's how we do it. Now, back to songwriters. That's where we are. Working with co-writers. Look, many of you on the call tonight are probably already doing co-writing. You're working with others, you're contributing and back and forth and sharing and making music together, which is awesome because it can really open up new ways of creating that you would never have done for yourself. But there are some things to know and to be aware of and to really work hard to do when you are working with other musicians. Now, the first thing to do is to consider how you're going to split the songwriting royalties. And we are specifically talking about songwriting royalties. Who has contributed to the words and the music? That's what Apra Amcos pays royalties for. So when we're talking about our work registrations, that's the only people you need to be concerned with. I find the best time to do this is, if not before a co-writing session, then right when that vibe in the room is great. Like when you've just finished that song, it feels good. Everybody's really buzzing off like, yes, what we've written is fun and fab and we love it. That's the time. Bring it up then. Hey, guys, we've got a hit. Cracked open the champagne or pop the cans of beer. Right then, how are we going to split these royalties? Are we going to do even shares? That's often referred to as the Nashville rule, where everybody who contributed to the songwriting gets an equal share. It's what we do at our songwriting camps. Or are you going to do it very specifically? The drummer who came up with 2 verses and the bridge, is that person going to get 60%, guitarist gets a 30% and somebody else gets 10% for their one-line contribution. The fact is, there is no formula, there is no industry standard, but whatever you decide, please get it in writing. Get it in writing while you are friends, because that is so much easier than if things start to break down. And obviously, a contract, an actual formal contract is ideal. And if you do want some templates for contracts, then the Arts Law Centre of Australia has those available. We talked about them. But you can also get like a bit of a checklist as to what to put in a contract from Music New South Wales or the AMIN group. So we can also put a link to that in the chat for you too. If you can't get a contract in place, then anything is better than nothing. So even if it's an email that specifically states every writer's name, everybody's percentage, and then all the people concerned reply with their agreement, you have to get that agreement. That's still better than nothing. Now, beyond the shares in the actual composition, what about a band agreement? What about some of the broader things? Like if you've just made new recordings and the drummer leaves, do you have to go back into the studio, pay for more studio time and re-record all those parts? Or does the band actually own the recordings and you can continue to go ahead? Or what about if the person who came up with the name leaves? Can the band keep using and touring under that name, or do they have to start building their reputation again under a whole new name? So again, things to consider before anything has a chance to go pear-shaped. Now, at this point, I am going to pass over to Al, who's going to take you through the writer portal. So Al, if you would like to camera on, I'm going to give you full control over here. Go for it.
Thanks, Nikki. That was great. Every time I listen to you do this, I just learn more and more. Just love it. Thank you. Okay, so if you remember, you should have an account with us and have access now to a writer portal. So this is how you register your songs and submit your performance reports. So a bit of a news flash, if you've been a member for a while, as of today, we're no longer using passwords when signing into your account. So we're going to quickly walk through this process with you, but it shouldn't be, hopefully it's clear and easy for you to organise and to do. But basically, when you go to log into your portal, you will put in your email address and then you will be sent a code to your email. Make sure if you aren't getting that code, make sure you check your junk or your spam folder just in case it's somehow made its way in there. And then you will input that code. Then you should be in. And then when you log in for the first time, you will have a pop-up which asks you to manage the way that you then want to log in. So you have a couple of options here. The first option is that you can use a pass key. So a pass key can be maybe your Face ID if you're signing in on your phone, or if you're using a Mac, then it might be your fingerprint. Another option is you can put in your phone number, and you can have an SMS code sent to you and you can pop in that code. So you can choose out of those two options, or if you want to, of course, you can keep using a code being sent to your email address when you first sign in. So if you like, you can just continue using that way of signing in. You can also jump in and change that login method at any point in the portal. You can also add a number of pass keys, and you can also add pass key and a phone number. And if either of those don't work for you to sign in for some reason, you can still use the email address and the code sent to your phone. So the only other thing to mention about this new process is that the only other thing that you will require a little bit of extra verification or security verification for is for if you want to update your personal details, so your bank account or your contact details. So when you get into your portal and you'll go into your personal details section, you'll see that it's sort of blurred out and there's a lock on it. So you just click on that and then you'll receive a code to your email address, which you'll then put in, and then you can then update all of your information. So I hope that was clear. If you do have any questions about that process, please put it in the Q&A and we will answer. But once you are signed into your portal, then you have your dashboard. So as soon as you log in, you'll see your dashboard, and there's a menu at the top with all of the functionality, and there'll also be a few tiles at the front of the screen or in the middle of the screen with the most commonly used functions. So that could be logging a performance report or registering a new work. Now, I just want to focus on registering works for a moment, because doing this is really, really important as part of being an Apra Amcos member, because if your song isn't registered, then we can't pay your royalties. So you definitely need to register your songs, and you'll need to register your songs in order to include them in your performance reports and then receive that royalty. So I'm just going to talk about registering for a moment, because it's really easy. All you need to do is you need to have the title of the work, the writers. So if you're the only writer, then it would just be you. But if you have co-writers, then you would put in their full names. Also the role. So were they a composer only, which means just the music, or were they just an author only, which is just the lyrics, or were they both? So did you write all of the things together, or did one person do one thing and someone else did the other? If you're the only one that wrote the song and you wrote the music and the lyrics, then you would be the composer and the author. We then just need to know the royalty splits. So as Nikki talked about, it's really important that you make sure that you know what that royalty split is if you're co-writing with someone or a few people. And once you have agreed to what that split is, then you can pop it in. If you have other information like the duration of the song, perhaps you have an ISRC code, which is a recording code, you can add those, but essentially all we really need is those 4 main pieces of information about the song, and then your song is registered. This is what it looks like when you're registering a song. So it's really easy. It's a very simple process, but of course, we're always here to help you if you are having any issues with registering. We do have lots of resources on our website. If you go to the website, you'll see at the top, there's actually a panel and a section which just says resources, and that has a lot of information in it. and we'll also be adding some new videos too, walking you through the registration process as well. Right, so once you start earning royalties from us, there is a section of your portal that will start to populate, and it's a very exciting part because this is your earning insights. So basically, it's interactive reporting, and it gives you a really good idea of where your songwriting royalties are being generated, which songs are being played, where they're being played, and it also shows trends. So there are maps and menus, and you can filter reports as well. So this is really, really handy. You can look into a whole bunch of different information about your works. You can filter by category. You can see which songs are your top earnings. So there's a lot in there. So once you do start earning royalties, it's a really good idea to go into your portal and start investigating that for yourself. All right, the app. If you haven't downloaded the Apra Amcos creators phone app, absolutely do it. Just like the portal, you'll go through the same process to log into your account, and then you can choose a passkey or an SMS code for future sign-in if you wish. The app is free, and there are so many great features. It has all of the functionality. If you were in the portal, if you're on a computer, you can register your songs and submit performance reports through the app as well. So if you do a gig, you can literally walk off the stage and do your performance report immediately, straight after, then and there, if you want to. The app also has your digital membership card on it, so it's got your member number on there as well. Okay, so definitely download the app if you haven't already done it. All right, I just want to talk through a whole bunch of the other member benefits that you'll receive as for being an Apra Amcos member. First, you get paid for the music that you write, which is awesome. But we also organise networking and panel events so that you can build your community and also get a better understanding of the music industry. We run an event called Connect Sessions every year, which does just that. We also run some sessions called the Regional Sessions, where we have panels and live performances, and we include a whole bunch of different people from the music industry that you can meet and learn about. We also run information sessions online called Insights. So they give you literal insights into different parts of the industry or topics that might impact or interest you as a songwriter. We have awards and grant opportunities, as well as professional development programs, such as our 23% program and our professional development awards, which Nikki has already talked about. We also have a huge range of member benefits listed on our website, like discounts on studio time or insurance, discounts on consultancies, and of course, extra baggage that you don't have to pay for Virgin and Qantas flights. And this is a bit of a game changer for touring, because what that means is that you can go through the process. Once you book your flight, there is a process you have to go through, but it's really easy. But it means that you get to add a whole heap of extra baggage, which you don't have to pay for. So if you're taking a whole bunch of instruments interstate or on flights, that covers you. So it's really amazing. There's heaps more on the website that you can check out. You just go to member benefits and they're all listed there. We also run and work with other creative initiatives, such as Song Hubs, which is a songwriting camp. We have Song Makers, which is a songwriting in schools workshop program. Sounds Australia, who are like the experts in exporting music. And we also have the NATSMO, which is the National Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Music Office, an Indigenous-led initiative of Apra Amcos and the peak body for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander music creators. It's dedicated to supporting the growth and development of songwriters and composers, and they run professional development programs, they have grants, they run songwriting camps, and they support Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander members of Apra Amcos as well. So that brings us to the end of our presentation.